Market of 10, the wrestling podcast with a very special episode this evening. Tonight we are talking about one of the greatest of all time, the 16-time world champion, the Doctor of Thuganomics, Mr. John Cena. Unfairly shat upon. Yes, you cannot see him, but we can see him. We can recognise here at Market of 10 how great the man is. We're going to talk about the life and career of Mr. John Cena, talk about where we think he ranks. I mean, we've already mentioned this in previous podcasts anyway. And it's going to be one of those episodes. We've done a special before with Sting, so yeah, it's only fitting considering John Cena announced that he's on his retirement run now, and that's what we'll talk about as well. Where do we think his retirement run's going to go? Will we have any predictions? It's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. But first up, I am the Mark Shields, and my co-host, the man with his own 5 moves of doom, but enough about his sexual prowess, the Doctor of Thuganomics himself, the housewife's favourite heel, Hoxie. How are we doing, Hoxie?
I'm good, mate. I'm really excited for this show tonight. I think this has got a bit of a potential to be a bit of a sleeper episode. I think if people see the title for this, they'll be like, oh, like a Cena special. But I think there's a lot to go at here, and there's a lot of stuff in his 25-year career, basically. So he's been around for a long time, and I'm looking forward to sort of digging deep into it. And yeah, like you say, that the old I'm going to retire, but maybe in 12 months' time I'm going to retire speech that he did not so long ago. But I thought that was quite a nice moment, and I think it's been coming, hasn't it, really? So,
yeah, I think he deserves to go out on an absolute high. So we've decided, before we get into the John Cena thing, we're not going to really talk about any of the news because it is a standalone episode. To be fair, there's not a lot happening anyway this week. There's a few matches,
quiet, isn't it?
There's been a few matches we want to talk about, but we actually want to watch those matches first of all.
Yes.
So next week we'll talk about wrestling as time goes on. And I think we probably need to do a list next week, Hoxie. I think it's time we do a list. How about the top 10 John Cena matches?
We're so in sync.
So
our periods are going to start lining up soon, mate. I'm telling you. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Or the top 10 Cena matches or moments or whatever to go through.
Yeah, top 10 Cena career moments, we'll call it.
Aye.
Okay. Hoi. It was like Mr. Miyagi. And do I know something in the Market 10 audience? You'll never know.
You'll never know. Nobody will ever know.
Okay, so as I said, he is obviously a record 16-time world champion, recognised by WWE. He is one of the greatest of all times, in my opinion. You do as well. I think he is slept upon as a performer, and I think he is one of the people that we don't know what we've got until he's properly gone. I think he's one of those superstars, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, let's just go. There may be stuff that we actually miss out in his career because, we're only human, right? But this is an opportunity for you to, if we miss out one of your favourite moments of John Cena or an interesting factoid about John Cena, let us know at wrestlemark10@gmail.com. Tweet us, comment on our YouTube, comment on Spotify. Now, I believe you can comment on Spotify, so make sure you do that. And I also just want to do a quick sidebar. We have had severe technical issues with Market of 10 over the last few weeks, okay?
Yeah. Told you, TK's in there. He's hacker man into your system, mate. Him and the fucks are in there.
So beavering away, yeah. Once again, I do apologise because it's on me because I should do my due diligence, etc. This is potentially, if it goes Pete Tong this week, then I'm going to need to look for a new podcasting provider. Again, if you have any hints or tips, please let us know. That would be greatly appreciated.
So we're currently using Riverside, aren't we?
We are, yes.
And we've been putting Riverside over for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And these motherfuckers, whether they've changed the hard drive or bypassed the C drive with the Z drive or something, I don't know what's gone on. But the last couple of weeks, we've had a little bit of we've had some issues, haven't we? The watch along one was so good. I'm not going to use a Tenacious D reference because it's a bit of an issue at the minute. But it was a good episode, and we didn't get it out there. But it's the mystery of the Forbidden Door. That's what we would call it, definitely. But it happens, mate. We're dealing with technology, man. Technology can get fucked. I've said this many, many times before. I'm not Mr. Technical at all. It can get in the bin, it can get in the sea for me. It's really good, but it's really shit at the same time.
Absolutely. Okay, Hoxie.
I blame Elon Musk. It's all his fault.
Okay. Okay. Moving on swiftly. He'll end up getting a shot. We'll get swatted just now. Okay, so Mr. John Felix Anthony Cena, born April 23rd, 1977.
West Newbury, Mass.
West Newbury, Mass. Absolutely. I love when I was doing my sort of research on him. Actor, professional wrestler, rapper. All right. Okay. Right. So let's go back to the beginning, Hoxie. We're not going to go. I don't know if you want to go into his early life or do you want to just go into the wrestling? For me, I think the wrestling is probably a good starting point because it's a wrestling podcast, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so he started training in 1999. I always think, and I was thinking about this when I was looking into this stuff this week and having a look at some stuff and listen to some stuff. I always think, like, if someone says to me 2010, I think like, oh, Cena would have been like green and new.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't. He was around for for a fucking long time. Like 1999, so he started training with Ultimate Pro Wrestling, who are out of basically Southern California promotion that was operated and ran by a chap called Rick Bassman. Now, Rick Bassman is, some people might not know his name, some people definitely won't know his name, but people will understand this guy. So he was a bit of an entrepreneur. So he used to do lots and lots of different things. I think he had like restaurant chains and he was nightclub chains. He was involved in the music industry for a bit. Anywhere where he could sort of promote and make a bit of money, basically. But he started a wrestling company in the sort of, it was probably the late 80s, I think, thinking about it now, because he was responsible for finding Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, the Dingo Warrior, back in the day. So he was very linked into these the big guys, if that makes sense. Those big muscle head guys. He probably went around lots of gyms or was working in that sort of scene, because a lot of the wrestlers back in those days, they would bounce on the doors, wouldn't they? And like when they weren't wrestling or whatever. So, but you look at some of the guys who he's been involved with. So he was involved with promoting Butterbean and Tank Abbott as well for boxing. And is it what's the Japanese martial arts promotion, MMA promotion back in the K1 martial arts? So he's a promoter at heart, really. Just anywhere to get a bit of a fast buck. But he was like Sting, Ultimate Warrior, Cena, The Miz as well. Chris Masters was one of them. Luther Reigns, can you remember Luther Reigns?
Luther Reigns, yeah.
There's no like Gene Smith or whatever her name is now. Nathan Jones, Big Bad Nath, and John Heidenreich as well. So there's quite a lot of time that came out. A lot of guys have come out of Rick Bassman's sort of quote unquote school, who've gone on to be stars. I mean, Cena, Miz, Sting, and Warrior, they're pretty big names, right?
Not bad, right? Not bad at all.
I'm not sure about Heidenreich or maybe Nathan Jones, but you can't bat 1,000, can you?
No, absolutely not.
So he was 1999. Started in Southern California. He was UPW heavyweight champion as well. He wrestled there until March of 2001. Now, there's a story about Jim Ross tells. I found this in my research this week. Jim Ross obviously was part of the, he was head of talent relations, wasn't he, for a very long time with WWE. And he was, I mean, you look at some of the guys that he signed, fuck me, it's who's who, and it's pretty much a Hall of Fame class in itself, to be fair, Jim Ross's sort of signees. But he went and met John Cena, and John Cena's a real fan. He's a proper fan of wrestling. He's not a guy who is one of those like I'll learn some stuff. Like what I think it was one of the women in NXT got asked what their favorite match was, and it was like Nikki Bella versus Alicia Fox.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. It was like Melina versus Alicia Fox or something. I was like,
it's
what?
Just crazy.
And Stone Cold goes, what?
Like, it's just mad shit. But he like chapter and verse. He grew up in the Northwest, obviously as a fan in Massachusetts, and it was a WWF or a WWW WWF territory. How many W's have got in there?
I just want to clarify that was not a Riverside issue. That was just Hoxie.
That was me taking the piss. But he was a real fan, and Jim Ross basically said to him, like, this guy's he's a nice guy, he's a personable guy, he's educated, he speaks well, he was a fan of the business, he knew exactly who he needed to influence to be able to get the opportunities. He had a plan in his own body. He was like, I'm going to do this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, let's crack on. And Jim Ross he said he got the red eye flight, which is like late night flight for you guys don't know, and he'd basically been in the same clothes for 2 days. He was tired, like cranky. But he went back to the office. He went back to Titan Towers in Connecticut and said to Vince McMahon, I've just basically done a deal with your WrestleMania main eventer in the next 5 years. And Vince McMahon was like, Jim, you're tired? Go home, get changed, and come back to work, basically. Get a shower and come back to work. And, I mean, we're going to talk about it, but the rest is history, right? That's a pretty bold statement. I think when Jim Ross knows, Jim Ross knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you say, it's a who's who Jim Ross has signed in the past, right? And like you say, he was in UPW. We're talking about John Cena now. He was in UPW until around March 2001, and then he signed for the then developmental, the Ohio Valley Wrestling, the
Rick
developmental
Rogers
contract.
and Jim Cornette.
Absolutely. And there he wrestled under his first gimmick, essentially. It was the prototype, which he used in Now, he was in a class, the who's who class of development talent when you think of it. The class of 2002, famously known. It was a John Cena, someone called Brock Lesnar.
Never heard of him.
Randy Orton.
Who?
Batista, maybe?
Isn't he in the Marvel films?
He's in the Marvel films.
Yeah.
And then there's the likes of like Shelton Benjamin, like Charlie Haas, and I think the least successful was probably, I think it was Rico.
Constantino.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who John Cena was in a tag team with for quite a long period of time.
Yes, he certainly was. Yeah. So when you think of this class, okay, the class we're talking about, okay, in WWE alone, that class of 2002 has 46 world titles, 7 United States titles, 4 intercontinental titles, 17 tag team titles, and they've won 8 Royal Rumbles, and the group features 4 different highly decorated WrestleMania main eventers. This is the caliber of superstar we're talking here, okay? This is who that class, when they went to OVW, they pushed each other on in order to raise the bar for them, okay? And, you know, I think it was Jim Cornette, he famously said that class, like, Brock was an absolute beast, like Batista was raw, Randy Orton was like the generational talent, but John Cena was the WWE superstar.
He was the standout.
You know, yes. he was the guy. He had a bit of everything you needed to be molded into this superstar. If you could build a superstar from the ground up.
It wouldn't be Randy Orton. It would be John Cena.
It would be John Cena. So OVW, a big coup for OVW to progress now legend John Cena.
Have you ever seen some of his early stuff? Like, have you ever seen any of the?
I've seen clips of it. I haven't seen full bits and stuff of it.
He used to do like the prototype gimmick was like a robot, built to be a wrestler. Basically, that's pretty much what it was. But his promos, he used to like talk a line. Excuse me. So like, my name is John Cena. And then it'd be like, and he would say the words like perfectly backwards. So he would just recite the line backwards and then say the line again. So it wouldn't be like, it would be like the words actually perfectly said in reverse. And that was part of his like his gimmick at the time, his character at the time. And I mean, I'm quite an intelligent young man, John, and I know you are very, very intelligent man. But I don't think I could do that, like off the cuff, quite easily in front of people.
I struggle putting them the right way round. Never mind fucking.
Exactly. People who've listened to this podcast before will know that I definitely struggle with the English language. But I just think that's really cool. And he never missed a day in the gym. If the lights were on in the gym, he would have been in there. You know what I mean? Like he was a specimen. I mean, he still is. He's not training full-time wrestler training either, but he's still he's jacked, isn't he? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like back in the day, obviously, he would have been, what, 22, 23 years old or whatever. He was a fucking specimen, man. Absolute specimen. And like you say, you say Brock Lesnar was in there, Randy Orton, like Batista, like you took all that money them four made. You're doing all right, aren't you? You're doing
absolutely.
all right. Yeah, blue chipper stuff, mate. And what better place to fucking train than under like Rip and
Yeah.
Cornette down there? Those guys that would have come in down there. I mean, Shelton Benjamin. They said Shelton Benjamin was the best lot of that in the whole thing.
Athletically, yeah.
And he done some stuff, but I bet you if Lesnar, Orton, and Batista weren't in that group, you probably would have had a different start. You know what I mean? There's a question anyway. There's a question there, but yeah, he done some good stuff. He was only there for a little bit as well, so he wasn't there for a long time. What, 18 months, 12 months, 18 months,
I
something
think
like
so,
that?
yeah. Because he eventually got called up to WWE, right, in 2002, I think it was.
Yes,
And
it was
I mean,
2002.
and in true OVW style, and Jim Cornette says this about a lot of the talent that he developed and then put up. It's a case of they had to have an agreement to finish the program with an OVW because he wanted them to be taught the proper way of doing things, right? In terms of starting
Finish
a
up.
story, finishing up properly. Cena, even though he got called up in 2002, in the early 2002, he continued to keep on going in OVW till I think it was around the September time.
He was doing dark matches at the
Yeah.
start of 2002. So he wrestled Shelton Benjamin on a SmackDown taping, and he also wrestled Tommy Dreamer on a SmackDown taping as well in a dark match. So he was sort of on the road and getting integrated into that system, but he was still full time in OVW, sort of learning his craft and learning the process. But yeah, he had a loser leaves OVW match, didn't he? Do you know who he wrestled in that match?
I don't.
I have genuinely, I've probably forgotten mine and my missus's anniversary to have this kind of information in my brain. It was a guy called Kenny Brolin. Don't know why I know that. I don't think he ever did anything. Genuinely don't think he ever did anything. I don't know if he went on to be anybody else in like a TNA or a Ring of Honor or something, but it was Kenny Brolin he had the match with.
I'm going to assume he did not do anything, just looking at pictures of him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he died or something.
No.
He died the day after the match. I want to see what he looks like. I'm really intrigued now. Talk amongst yourselves, listeners. I'm just going on having a little Kenny Brolin.
Blue waistcoat.
Wow. The Brolin Alley.
That's actually pretty good. I like that. I actually do like that.
Russo's the brand. Well, it steps down from there.
Dear.
Brolin Alley. Wow. Amazing. That's some good shit.
Good shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Cena's fucking running. That's
unbelievable.
crazy.
I mean, that's a claim to fame, right? Jesus.
You're fucking too right. He was
okay,
skittled that night, wasn't he?
Definitely. Okie
Yeah, dickhead. Shocking.
Dickhead. Okay, so he eventually left OVW. He lost to Mr. Brolin, as Hoxie just said. He then made his debut on SmackDown. And for me, I know everybody says Jericho's debut is the best debut ever, when he came to Raw, like the countdown, etc. But for me, this has got to be up there. If you think about the impact, and go for it. How did he debut, Hoxie? Let's talk through that.
So he came out on a SmackDown. It was Kurt Angle in the ring cutting a promo, and Cena comes down, prototype gimmick with his little flicked up Chelsea fringe and his crew cut and his gear to match the town's team, the city's team that they were in. Stood face to face to him, and Kurt Angle said, "What have you got that thinks you'll be able to step up to the plate and take me on?" And he says 2 words:
ruthless aggression.
Punch. And you're off to the races.
And then, he eventually lost that match, obviously, as you would expect, but it was a very impressive performance. Yeah. And then there was a very famous thing backstage as well. He came through the curtain, he was congratulated by everyone, and then the legend himself, the Phenom, The Undertaker, also congratulated him. And if you get that sort of that rub from Taker that early on, you're like rocket to the moon, right? It's only you that can fuck that up. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah,
I think that's, we talk at the minute and we have discussions about debuts in like AW and all this, that, and the other, and we think like, how can you get it wrong? How can you get it so wrong? What can you do? Like, what can you do to maybe get it right? Like, that's how you make a fucking star.
Yep.
You bring him in, because Angle was a tippy top guy there.
Yeah.
Tippy top guy.
One of the guys.
One of the guys, yeah, 100%. He probably not long lost the world title or a WWE title or whatever at the time. I wouldn't know without looking, but he would have been top guy. He comes out and has a really, really, really good showing against him. And you say what you want. So there would have been guys back then, and there would have been people back then, like us, fans, and the internet, and message boards, and forums, and Twitter, if it was around then. They would have been slagging everyone. Oh, why the fucking hell has Dave Smith not got that push? Why is Cena coming in out of nowhere and getting this, that, and the other? Like, you don't get that just willy-nilly. There's something there with him. The react, like fucking Jim Ross said to Vince McMahon, like, he's your main event guy in 5 years. Like, Cena would have met Vince. Vince would have fell in love with him. You know what I mean? And the other guys, like Kurt Angle, wouldn't do that for anybody. No. So he believed in him. And like you just say, like, there ain't much better rope than Taker. Taker would not do that for anybody.
No. Ever.
And he saw it in him. That's how you make a guy. You bring them in and you put them in with top talent who are willing to do the quote unquote do business, brother. Or you know what I mean? You got to do that business. You need that person to be willingly happy and on board with what you're doing. And Kurt Angle done that, and it was such a good match. It was like he gave him near falls, he gave him like 2 counts, he gave him opportunity to beat him. It wasn't a squash match by any stretch of the imagination. I can't even think it was a long match. It wasn't a long match, but it wasn't a squash match at all. And for Kurt Angle at that time, that's like, I'm trying to think who would be comparable to fucking Kurt Angle now, like a Rollins maybe, or it wouldn't be Reigns because that's like a tippy top. You know what I mean? It'd be like a Rollins or a Cody or somebody like that, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? It would be a Rollins, a Cody, a whatever, like a big name now. Just some guy from NXT walking out and having a 15-minute match with them and just missing out. That's how you make someone. That's what they should have done with Bron Breakker, in my opinion. Yeah. We might talk about him a little bit later on, but like, mate, that's how you make a star, man. And people would have been fully on board with it. It wouldn't have just happened as like, oh yeah, let's give him a chance. It's like, this guy has got something. Yeah. Let's do something with him. Mm-hmm. And that's how you make a star, right? You bring him in with top guys and you put them in that mix. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. I mean, like you say, it's like Angle did the, well, I'm going to say he did the job for him, but he gave him the rub, absolutely. Undertaker backstage gave him the rub. And then he obviously went into his first real feud against Chris Jericho. You know, it's like, it's not a bad start.
Heard around the world.
Mm-hmm. It's
that
not a bad.
Fucking slap was unreal. And I guarantee, not a shadow of a doubt, I guarantee Jericho would have said, if you don't fucking hit me, if you don't lay that in, and I've got to sell some fucking little bitch backhand slap or whatever, that probably would have made him dead in the water straight away. Cena knew, he got the brief, didn't he? Like, I need to do this. That slap was beautiful. I bet he'd like to do it again now as well. So yeah, I think a few people would like to do it on Jericho now.
What the fuck are you thinking? Fucking idiot. So yeah, he feuded with Chris Jericho and he won that feud as well. He went over at Vengeance, I think it was. He beaten Chris Jericho. You know, and again, for all of Jericho's flaws now, that's another massive rub for him. So again,
Jericho was the first undisputed champion in history. He beat Rock and Stone Cold on the same night.
I think you mentioned it though, right?
It's lost to the annals of time, mate, until somebody like us brings it up. Us fucking dweebs. It was nerds know all this shit.
I remember when Chris Jericho.
Do you know what though, dude? I miss the old pay-per-view names as well. You just mentioned like Vengeance, like No Mercy, Vengeance, Unforgiven.
They're going to come
Like,
back. They've got, I mean, Backlash came back. You know,
they're doing some like names in NXT now, aren't they? They're using like some of the older names and stuff.
Like they
But
did
I do
like Great American Bash and stuff in the NXT, didn't they? It's like
Halloween Havoc as well.
Halloween Havoc, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Bring them
I
back.
do miss them. Yes,
Triple H, Paul Levesque. I know you listen. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I was going with that. It's like, come on, dude. I know you're a big fan of Mark out of 10.
Huge
like,
Muten fan. I've heard he's got a Muten tattoo on his bum cheek. That's what I heard.
the first O is just his butthole.
Yes, exactly. He's got M on one cheek and then the O10 on the other.
Ooh, that's a great reference. Ooh, chavo. Sorry, we digress. Honestly, this happens.
No one's here for us talking about Cena. They're here for this mess.
So after so obviously we'll spend a bit of time on his early career, and then the rest of his career sort of speaks for itself, really. So his first feud was Jericho. He then went into like a tag team with Billy Kidman, one of purveyor of the shooting star press.
A beautiful shooting star press,
lovely.
Well.
Such a good move, and so good. And they were going for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. They didn't win. And this was the beginning of the very first and the only heel turn in John Cena's career. When he turned on Billy Kidman, blamed him for them losing, and kicked the living shit out of him, basically.
This is, a lot of people forget about this. His real proper start, I know we've just sort of waxed lyrical about his introduction and his first little feud and stuff, but his real first segment of career in the WWE was as a heel, and they were trying to make him a heel. Like I said, people forget about this quite a lot. I mean, even I forget about it sometimes. You think he's like the fucking, excuse me, the Ricky Steamboat, you know what I mean? Just the quintessential babyface, like evergreen babyface, but he wasn't. And I think it's that, obviously we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the way the Doctor of Thuganomics thing took on as well, that was a heel character. But the way people loved it that much and they turned it. The people, we turned it, if you know what I mean. But because he was so corny and cheesy and hokey with the different pairs of trunks and the different colours of the teams and all that sort of stuff. In every city he wrestled in, he had, like, say if it was like Liverpool, he'd have red. If it was Manchester City side, it'd be blue. If it was Everton, or whatever, he would have the colour of the knee pads and the trunks, and it was just a bit corny. So I think they needed to do something with that character. You can only go so far with that, and it was very, very, very of its time as well. You look at, I mean, dude, let's be honest. He's just come in. He's not going to be the finished fucking article. Nobody comes in and stays that person like all the way through their career. There is going to be some change and some osmosis in there, isn't there? You know what I mean? You're going to have that change of character, but they did need to do something. They really did.
You know what's interesting, right? It's literally just came into my head there just now. It's about they had to change him because he wasn't getting over as a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
This is the WWE MO right throughout. If you think of three of the biggest stars ever, The Rock came in as a forced babyface, had to turn heel.
Yep.
John Cena, Kurt Angle was originally, he was
in his first match.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Because Kurt Angle wanted to go in as a babyface.
All-American hero. Yeah. I won the Olympics with a broken freaking neck, man.
And then Roman Reigns, is a case of
succotash, man.
But it's a case of WWE do you think it's a deliberate thing, or do you think they just go, they'll love him as a babyface and then go, oh shit, we do actually need to change tact? I mean, they're not that stupid, right? Surely not.
I think this is Vince we're talking about as well. So I think it depends what way the wind blows sometimes, you know what I mean? Especially in later years, maybe not 20, 25 years ago, or whatever, but especially in later years. I think they need to, I think early on as well, you need to suck it and see a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they tried it that way. It was kind of okay. I just think it was it wasn't whether he was a babyface or a heel. It was just the character wouldn't have resonated. Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
See, I told you we struggle with the English language, guys. The character wouldn't have resonated with that period of time because you got to think like this was just after the act. It was literally the start of the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
So it was just that crossover between the Attitude Era. So you had guys there, like I mean, The Rock was there. You had your Stone Colds, like you had your Angles, like you had these guys who were sort of coming across from that period of time who were still there, and that super white meat babyface, which is what he was when he was the prototype character, that prototype John Cena. It was colored trunks and knee pads and wrestling boots and spiky hair. Like it was that moment in time wouldn't have worked as a character. Maybe in like the early 90s, like a if he came in and took over from Hogan, for example, like that might have worked because that was the kind of thing. But it was more real then, wasn't it? It was the characters more than it was the wrestling.
Yeah.
So I think they needed to do something with him, and that was the option. It's like that's the option, isn't it? It's like, oh well, it's not working. Let's try this. And there's nothing wrong with trying stuff sometimes. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with trying it. So, and they did, and you know what I mean? We say
Interesting point. So yeah, there was the heel turn, Hoxie.
Mm-hmm.
It was the heel turn. The Doctor of Thuganomics, Word Life. I'm so white. I really shouldn't say shit like that. I mean,
well, Cena as well probably shouldn't have been saying shit like that, but you kind of got away with it, right?
yeah.
You kind of got away with it.
So for those that don't know, the Doctor of Thuganomics was John Cena's sort of Vanilla Ice rapper gimmick that he had. And it's a guilty pleasure, right? Some of the stuff he said was really good. And I think it's inspired so many of those that, you know, like the K Quick coming down to the ring rapping, signing his own songs, you know, the Max Caster, like the Acclaimed in AEW. I think it all stemmed from this because it was never really, not that I can think of anyway, it's never really been done before, you know, in terms of on the mainstream that I can think of.
The only thing closest to this, and you're going to be like, listeners as well are probably going to be like, what? Well, just hold on a minute. Let me just let me speak on this. The Genius, Lanny Poffo. Mm-hmm. It's the closest thing we ever had to something like that. He would come out and fucking speak poetry to his opponents. So that's what rap is, isn't it? Really, it's just fast poetry with a beat behind it to a certain degree.
I really thought you were going to say like Brother Love. I love you.
No, the Genius.
No, I was not.
The closest thing we had to anything like that before would have been the Genius coming out, and before the match started or on the way to the ring, he would do his little poetry and his little speech about the opponent.
That's a good.
I bet you didn't think the Genius was going to get a shout.
I genuinely did not think the Genius was. No, absolutely not. Fair play. Fucking fair play to you. Okay, I've lost my train of thought. Where are we? We're fucking Doctor Thuganomics. Talk to me about Doctor Thuganomics.
Do you know how this started? How this all came about?
I do, but tell the audience.
Well, I'll tell the audience. Why? No. Do you know what? No, I'm not. I'm just going to sit here in silence.
Good night, guys.
So there's lots of rumor and innuendo that they were, we don't know what to do. We're kind of on. We don't really know. You know, do we want to carry on with John Cena? Do we want to get behind him and all that? Like, is he going to carry on in the company? All that bullshit. It's not true. They were never going to sack him off. It was just like I just said earlier on. They were trying to see what happened, and there was there's two stories. I'll go for the first one. There was an agent's report from an overseas tour that they did, where on the agent's report it said, and John Cena done rapping on the freestyle rapping on the back of the bus or on the back of the plane and had absolutely all of the guys in stitches or even in fits. Full stop. And someone read that and was like, hold on a minute. And then the other story is apparently Stephanie McMahon overheard him on a plane coming back from an overseas tour and said, this guy is, we've got something with this guy here. Let's try this and let's switch to that. Now, I know WWE are very, very good at rewriting their own history. And I know the McMahons are very, very, very good at getting their own shit over. So I would probably believe the first one rather than the second one. But either way, they went, "Can you try this, please, Mr. Cena?" And he went, "Yep. What do you want me to do? When do you want me to do it?"
I shall take that ball and I shall run with said ball.
Run with it, mate. I'm handing it off. The pass is out. It's gone. You're off the wing. Go.
This was the gimmick that made him, right? Like that was the one that fans didn't like him, but they couldn't help but cheer for him when he was doing his rap gimmick, and there are so many of the different like Doctor Thuganomics type things. It's like when he's insulting the Big Show, or when he's doing the one with Stephanie McMahon and stuff. It's like in the middle of the ring. It's like, can I just say, in that particular scene, if you haven't seen that scene,
I know exactly what you're going to say as well.
Holy fuck balls! That's what I'm going to say. Go and watch it.
Woo!
Woo indeed. Do you think John Cena, because as I said, it was only the first and only time he turned heel, should he have ever went back heel at any point in his career? We're sort of going to skipping ahead a little bit, but
not a chance.
No.
No. I think there would have been some money in it. There would have been some opportunity in it. Us wrestling fans would have loved it because it would have been cool, and it would have been like, it's like what Hogan did, and it would be really cool. But it wouldn't have fit him. It wouldn't have fit the Make-A-Wish stuff. It wouldn't have fit the merchandise he was selling. It wouldn't have fit anything like that. His want to get involved in Hollywood, as you know what I mean, all that sort of stuff. I think if it happened, there was a period in the time where it could have happened for a little bit, and they could have brought it back. But I just don't think it would have fit him or the WWE really.
It was the stages, and again, we'll probably touch upon this later on in his feud with The Rock, where they teased it. It's like in these actual promos when he came back as like the Doctor Thuganomics for that one time. It was like talking about his heel turn and
bit,
just
on the edge, didn't they? They were on, because it was weird because the stuff with The Rock. We'll talk about this a little bit later on as well. But the stuff with The Rock, they both were kind of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They would sort of just wander a little bit into each sort of like blurring the lines a little bit. It was an interesting sort of story behind
I'm a big purple pinwheel Rock, so go ahead and blow me.
Blow me.
That's such a good line. It's so good. So obviously, as the Doctor Thuganomics, he wrestled, he fought the who's who of wrestling. Yeah, and if you think about the WWE, I mean, I don't know what you've got next on your list, so
just talk the first belt. Okay, he won,
on you go.
Basically, as a Doctor Thuganomics. So the first real feud he had, you mentioned it's with the Big Show, and he won the United States Championship at, oh my days, I'm trying to think now. Was it WrestleMania? He won the US Championship.
Yes. I can't remember. It must have been
John Cena.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't his first attempt at a title in WWE. He did actually go up against, was it Brock? I'm sure it was Brock Lesnar for the WWE title that he lost. Yeah, because that was a number one contenders tournament. And if you think about that, he beat Taker, Eddie Guerrero and Chris
Benoit. Yeah,
but then he lost. But I think where was it? It was Backlash. Maybe I think it was Backlash. He lost to Lesnar. So he was already propelled to the sort of main event status. Obviously, he didn't go over the end, but that's absolutely fine. But like you say, he then went on to face the Big Show for his first title, his United States title. It was WrestleMania. I'm sure it was
March 14th. Cena defeated the Big Show to win the United States Championship, his first singles championship in WWE. And he changed it into the first spinner belt, didn't he? What did you think of the spinner belt, mate?
Shite.
I
mean, for the time, I think it was, for the gimmick, it was relevant, right? I mean, it had to happen, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'm not a massive fan of gimmick belts at all. Do you know, people really love the broken skull. Like,
not a fan.
Like, okay, but the title should be the
prestige.
Exactly. It's the like the big gold belt. Say, oh, I'm going to take the big gold belt and make it a big fucking purple belt or whatever. Like, no, like you're going for that champ. You're going for the belt, aren't you? Like that's what makes it for me.
Would you prefer the big gold belt or the winged eagle belt?
Big gold.
Is that just for the lineage of it?
No,
or
it's my favorite belt, hands down.
interesting?
Big gold belt is my favorite wrestling belt in history.
Interesting.
Not even close. I like the old IC belt with the white
The
strap
white belt,
as well.
yeah, that's so cool.
There's like a Southern American Championship belt that like UWF had as well, which is it's like tin and red, and that's really really cool. I think it's like the Southern States Championship belt or something like that, and it's really nice just because I like the colors and shit. But big gold belt, it's my favorite. It's beautiful, and it's not because like who held it. I genuinely think it's the most beautiful belt.
I think the lineage actually helps with it though, right? But there's something about the winged eagle belt. I think it's something.
It's cool. I like it. It's up there for me.
I think it's because it's like it's our generations, right? It's like that's the belt you're synonymous with. But I agree with you. The
Stone Cold and all that. Yeah.
The Intercontinental title with the white belt is
sick.
So good.
And I like the old IWGP Heavyweight Championship as well.
Yeah, you said that before.
It's probably a big gold thing because they're all big and gold. Like the old TNA Championship used to be cool as well, like the big gold one. Maybe I'm like
gold.
a fucking start like listening to Smokey and the fucking oh my god, what they called? Shit. Oh fuck it. Joke's gone. Scrap it. Edit it. Delete. Riverside, help me.
Don't say that. Don't frighten it.
Don't frighten it.
You know what I always wanted to do though, behind for this particular podcast, I wanted to get loads of wrestling belts behind there, and then I looked at the fucking cost of them. So fuck you, audience.
That's why I used to have that little plastic one behind my stream back in the day. I got given that. I thought, fuck it, I'll put it up there. Yeah, they're very expensive, aren't they? We need a classic We need a Mu 10 belt making.
We do need a Mu 10. I was looking at like tag team belts. A Mu 10 tag team belt would be cool. But again,
I'll get my little boy to make one. Little boy to just get some tin foil and bit of card. It'll be well away. Like gold paper that you used to use in school. I'm definitely not giving him a pen though.
Fuck that.
Dear.
Okay, so
don't like spinner belts, but they make a load of money, and I guarantee when they looked at their check at the end of the month or whatever, or the bank account at the end of the month, we're like, okay, yeah, well, we'll fucking do that. Yeah, yes, please, more of that, please. So yeah, but not for me.
Absolutely. So yeah, he won his first title against Big Show, as we said. He then, I don't know how many defenses he's had, but he had a few, right? It was like Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Rennie Dupree. Remember Rennie Dupree?
He was meant to be a blue chipper as well. He was going to be the next big thing. He got in the way of himself. He's still wrestling now.
I think he does.
He's only young still. He's not as. I think he's probably late 30s or something now, because he was very, very young when I think he was like 19, 20 when he was doing. What was the tag team he was in? It was Rennie Dupree and he was in a tag team. Oh fucking hell! Rob something. He's in a tag team with. Oh my days! I'm trying to have a look.
Rennie Dupree, and because it was fucking hell, it was the French gimmick, wasn't it?
It's La Resistance, wasn't it?
La Resistance, yeah. Bear with me.
Sylvain Grenier,
that's it.
and there was somebody else who he tagged with as well. That's the guy I'm trying to think of. Do you know what? It's not really that fucking important.
Robert Conway.
Rob Conway, that's it. Yes, John. Yes, John.
Fucking good. No.
Yes.
We're digressing again, Hoxie. Honestly, where are we?
This is the thing. So you were talking about.
So he defended his title. How did he lose his first title?
Best of 5 series against Booker T.
No.
Who was it?
He was stripped of the title.
Oh, was this the Carlito thing?
No, that was later.
Oh.
So he was stripped with the title by Kurt Angle, who was the SmackDown general manager at that time.
Because he fucking got pushed into him.
Yes. It was the wheelchair. He attacked him in the wheelchair. He was stripped of it. He then won it back from Booker T in a best of 5.
And that was the best of 5. Okay.
See?
That was... I like a best of series, by the way. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on a best of X amount? best of 5 or a best of 7 or whatever.
They've got to be reserved for the tippity top talent because you've got to keep your audience in check and you've got to have enough skill set in order to make the matches different. You know what I mean? It's like, if obviously John Cena versus Booker T, no one would think that, oh my God, that's going to be a really boring best of 5. But Booker T is very good. John Cena is good, so they've got Booker T has the ability, and he's such a wily vet that he understands how to make a match good. If you think of Motor City Machine Guns versus the Dudley Boys, that best of series was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You think of like all the sort of like the best of call it the rubber matches, like Angle Benoit, like Angle fucking Jericho, all those sort of things. It's got to be tippity top. You're right.
It's just about to be a run in. Go on, mate. Carry on. What's it doing? She's crawling across the floor.
That's staying in, by the way.
We're definitely keeping this in. She's trying to break out of this fucking back door like some.
Ellie's left ass cheek is now making an appearance in Mark out of 10. What a day!
So you got to have the
you've got to have the talent to do it.
Yes, the talent. Also, you got to have some chemistry as well.
Yeah,
you can't
100%.
go in because if you go in there and stink the place, because they've got to have belief that they're going to be able to have 5 matches or 7 matches or whatever. Like, you can't go in there like just cold and have an absolute stinker and then have to like do that 4 more times or twice or what you know what I mean. So yeah, I agree.
You think of like FTR versus the Briscoes,
Yeah,
very, very different matches. It's you've got to have something unique in each match. So like probably best of 5 is the most it can go. I mean, I know there are places that have done like best of 7 before. I just don't know if I think
if it goes best of 7, it shouldn't go all the way.
Yeah,
like that should be like the 7 should be the Jeopardy, if you know what I mean. And then they'll like do 5.
Yeah,
I mean, like, oh, this is gonna be best of 7. They'll be like, oh, well, fucking hell. Because if it's best of 7 and you do 7, it's a fucking work, isn't it? Like every time. If you
also,
do best of 7 and you do 5, it's like, oh, buzzing. That's cool.
I think also the best of 7, in my opinion, it shows a lack of depth in your roster. Because you've got to have that match on every single card essentially in order for them to fill a spot. Whereas a best of 5, you can get away with it because again you can make it unique matches. Again, that's just a Shields hot take. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm not, then I'm not.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah. Thank you. Fuck you. Goodbye. So he then won it back from Booker T, as I say, in the best of 5. Hoxie, what you got next on your list?
The Carlito thing, I think. It's just after this, isn't it? Now you think about we get to a period in time as well now. We start to cross over from guys putting him over to him being involved in like storylines and stuff that's going to get somebody else into a featured spot. And I think this is the first time that he does. I think this is the first time that he does that. With Carlito, and this is probably one of the worst angles or storyline angles or payoffs like ever, I think, in the history of the WWE. And I know that's taken up a lot of ground, but I genuinely think this is one of the shittest things they did, especially in this time. Do
you think in bad taste?
Just everything. It's fake as shit. Proper fake. Proper hokey. Really, really like bad taste. Just not believable. Like you want to.
Do we want to explain what happened?
Yeah. I can't remember how it all came about, but Carlito and Cena were feuding, or they were feuding, weren't they? Was it the start or during? And apparently John Cena got assaulted by one of Carlito's bodyguards or Carlito or whatever, and they stabbed him.
Yeah.
In storyline, John Cena got stabbed.
In the kidney.
In a nightclub in the kidney. There's worse places to get stabbed than the kidney, but I would say that's pretty up there. Mm-hmm. And that put him off TV to go and film The Marine, if I'm not mistaken.
Straight to video.
Good film, though. I like The Marine.
All right.
As far as the WWE studios things go, I think The Marine's quite good. And I like 12 Rounds as well, the one where he's trying to beat all the challenges set by the guy from Littlefinger, isn't it? From Thingy. I really like that film, anyway. Sorry, but yeah, it's the most hokey piece of shit ever. It's not real. It's see-through. Like, you're not going to fucking stab somebody. You know what I mean? Unless you're Too Cold Scorpio. Like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Do I know something? It could work, right? If
come on then,
they were out for
sell it to me.
The biggest issue with it, obviously, it didn't look great, but the biggest issue for me was he was only out for a fucking month. You know what I mean? It's like
I can't even remember. I think I blocked that bit out of my brain.
It was only about a month he was out for, maybe 6 weeks at the very most.
Yeah.
For that sort of angle, that's something that he could get away with it now. If he, you know what I mean, as a part-time entertainer, he could come in, get stabbed in the kidney, and then fuck off for like 6 months, to film like a blockbuster movie. But to get stabbed and to be on death's door, to be away for a month, come back and eventually win the fucking title back, it's like with fucking a kidney and a half. I mean, I don't know.
It's hokey as shit.
It's hokey as shit, yeah. I mean, and we don't use the F word, or we don't like using the F word, but it is. It's not
really,
good.
really see through, and it's not real. It's
not real.
No,
absolutely
hokey as shit. Yeah, it was. That was a moment in time. Carlito was a big missed opportunity, right?
I think he fucked it for himself a lot of the time, though.
Missed opportunity for him, missed opportunity for them, or whatever. He was.
But again, this goes back to Vince McMahon didn't know how to deal with superstars out with America, or out with North America.
Yeah,
can you name
putting that stink on someone?
Can you imagine? Can you name anyone that he himself got over from a Mexico or from a Japan? Or Vince McMahon specifically. Rey Mysterio did it himself. Rey Mysterio's a superstar in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
You've
British
got
Bulldog.
And you? Would you?
Brett. He was from Canada,
North America.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a good point. Somebody will jump in off the top of my head. Thinking about it right now, I can't think of anything apart from British Bulldog. Sheamus.
Was that Vince? That was Triple H's boy.
Drew. McIntyre, the chosen one.
But do you want to know the ironic thing?
Know.
The ironic thing is, he's only got over since Vince has fucked off.
Since Vince has left, yeah.
Vince McMahon had him wearing a kilt and a fucking claymore. It's like, what the fuck?
It's very Scottish, that is, mate. Do you wear a kilt? You got a claymore. I'm pretty sure you got one on that shelf behind you. You just can't see on the screen.
I got a claymore.
Woo! Woo!
Okay.
Good point, though. I agree. Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Does anybody disagree with us? Did Vince McMahon put anybody over that was not from North America? That's
tweet,
like a tippity tip
email,
top. Tweet, email, comment,
YouTube,
carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon. We take everything. We take absolutely anything.
Morse code. Okay, let's move on. I think probably the next stage we should go to after that would be probably the next big thing, unless you correct me if I'm wrong, is a particular Royal Rumble match.
2005.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is a John Cena moment, right? And I actually don't know the answer to this. It's not something I forgot to research it. So again, Hoxie, do you want to explain what the situation is? You're my play-by-play. I'm just the color guy.
So the finish of the match was Cena and Batista together in the final two, and there was a monumental fuck up. I can't remember which way it was meant to go. I can't remember.
That's what I can't remember.
Cena to win or Batista to win, but they both went over at the same time. And they actually did legit hit the deck at the same time, didn't they? Like, it was like a freak thing. Like, it wasn't as if they could like sell it any other way. And they're just like, what the fuck do we do now? Like, And this was when Vince marched to the ring and jumped in. This way he fucked both his quads.
He tore both his quads.
Tore
Yeah.
both quads jumping into the ring. And one of the most amazing sight ever is him
Sitting down,
leaning up against the ropes, right? Just like tell him, like, you fucking bastards, you do this, you do that. And they restarted the match, didn't they? And they had a match at the end of the Rumble, didn't they? And it was crazy. And well, Batista won the match, didn't he? So I would imagine it was Batista who was meant to win the Rumble. Yeah, duh. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, right? So just after that, Cena went into a little match / feud with Kurt Angle, and that was for the number one contendership for the SmackDown Mania event at WrestleMania 21, which was against JBL.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Your favorite wrestler, right?
I like JBL. I just don't think he should have been champion. Let's just put a nail on that.
Champion because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. But yeah, I think if there's anybody to, you look at the guys who he's wrestled so far, maybe take away Big Show. So he's had Angle. He's wrestled matches with Lesnar. He's had like the odd match with like Carlito and
Eddie Guerrero,
Bodyguard Guerrero, like all that sort of stuff. I think if there's anybody to slow him down and give him that, like, I don't want to say the word like the WWE way or anything like that. I don't want to say that, but he is very, very, very different style.
Yes,
than all of those wrestlers. If you know what I mean. Maybe Taker, when he's had matches with Taker, might be sort of into that, but Taker was Taker, right? I think JBL, especially as that. Because it was what was the thing where you had Orlando Jordan with him and that?
The cabinet.
The cabinet. Fuck me. It's Johnny on the spot, look. Brilliant. Because he had his little goons with him and stuff, didn't he? Running around and doing what he needed to do. So I think it gives another little sort of page in John Cena's book, in his workbook. And it's a different style of guy. And I really enjoyed their match at WrestleMania 21. You got to think WrestleMania 21 was probably one of the most important WrestleManias ever. It's up there.
Yeah.
You think about what happened at that like, so it was a big deal. I just think it was the right moment for him. I think Cena was up there. JBL was the right foil for him, and I just think it's a really good situation for him to be in, basically, to get the title against JBL, and the crowd was so ready for it, and he got a big reaction. So yeah, it's decent. I can't remember. The only thing that sticks in my head about that match, mate, is when he's in the crowd holding the belt.
Yeah.
And like everyone's just like, "Whoa!" Like I can't necessarily remember like the finish or anything like that. Really, I can't really remember the match, but I can remember the finish, and I can remember him being in the crowd, like celebrating. And that's the moment you want, right? That's the cool moment, isn't it? Yeah.
That's what.
And it was the biggest Mania. It was the biggest Mania up to that date, wasn't it? In terms,
I think so. Yeah.
Money made. It was a Hollywood one, wasn't it? Because the year before that was Madison Square Garden, wasn't it? 20. And 21 was Hollywood. So I think that WrestleMania 21 made a lot of money. So
that was the one where Big Show did the sumo match, right?
Fucking hell, was it?
I'm sure it was WrestleMania 21.
With Hakimoto or whatever it is.
Yeah. I might be wrong.
No, mate, it wasn't.
Was it not?
Oh, yes, Akibono defeated the Big Show in a sumo match in 1 minute. It's 5 stars right there. In Tokyo Dome, that would have got 5 stars. But that was Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels was on there as well. And that was a really, really good fucking...
Triple H and Batista as well.
For the title. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Cena wins his first WWE Championship.
Yes.
Big
next
deal.
up, Hoxie, where are we going next?
I think we talk about One Night Stand.
Good old One Night Stand. Okay.
We have to talk about One Night Stand, don't we? This was 2005, the first one, wasn't it? I don't think I don't think there's many wrestling events that I really go back and watch all of the time, if you know what I mean. I've watched, this is up there with like WrestleMania 17 and Money in the Bank, if as maybe just for single matches or whatever. But in terms of like the show all the way through, this is one of those shows that I've watched probably the most. Maybe like I just think it is mainly for this main event, but I just think it's from start to finish, it is a fucking great wrestling show.
Yeah.
I mean, we had this conversation before, haven't we? We had this question, and some people ask me this question, like, "Oh, what if you had like a non-wrestling fan, like what matches would you show them or whatever?" Like, I would, if this was to hand, and I could get this quick, and I could put this on quickly, I would show them this show as one of those things to be like, "This is why fucking wrestling's awesome. You need to come and watch this. Sit down and watch this.
This is awesome."
Genuinely, like, so it was Rob Van Dam won the Money in the Bank.
Yep.
And before, I know the Money in the Bank thing wasn't like a big thing. It hadn't been around for a long time, but a lot of the guys, they would jump in and just, it would be like and excuse me. And even nowadays, people surprise it, don't they? They wait to the end of the match, they jump in and they cash it in, they hit a finish and they win, blah, 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 blah. But Rob Van Dam actually called his shot, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I am going to wrestle you and I'm going to cash this in right now and I'm going to wrestle you for your title at One Night Stand. And that's cool as fuck, I think. I think that's a really, and it adds a different layer to it. And it makes Rob Van Dam, even though he's up against Cena, a huge babyface, it makes Rob Van Dam a massive face. Because it's not a heelish thing to do. It's not a blind side. You're not running in from behind and smacking him over the head with it or whatever, or cashing in at like a really shit time. You're saying, okay, I believe in myself that much. I'm going to do this in front of my fans, in front of my people, and I'm going to beat you for that belt. And I think that's amazing.
To be fair, he could have fucking cashed in at Hammerstein and like he still would have got the pop as a babyface. It's like that would have went. There would have been deaths. I think people would have actually jumped off the rafters. It would have been carnage. And if you haven't seen it, the thing that always comes to my head, apart from the promo from Heyman for that match, is when Cena takes off his shirt, throws it into the crowd, and it comes back to him, and they do it like 5 or 6 times, and it's just something so simple that Cena just managed to take the right amount of time in order to get that sort of reaction from the crowd, and it was just so good. And when have you ever heard John Cena like "fuck you, Cena"? Fuck you, Cena.
Sucks. Yeah,
well, I mean, you
Cena
can't
wins
wrestle.
Riot.
Cena wins the Riot. That famous.
I'm gonna correct myself before somebody in the comments or somebody messaged me and says like, I think you find it was 2006, Dan. That it was One Night Stand. It was 2006. I'm very sorry. Don't shoot me. 2005 and 2006, they're fucking amazing shows. Yeah. Anyway, 2006, yeah. Don't fucking kill me.
Don't at me.
Don't at me. But yeah, that on that night he was a heel.
Yeah, he's
in motherfucker in front of that crowd on that night for that 20 minutes or whatever. He was the heel, and he fucking bought into it. Right? He played onto it.
Yeah,
he was still Cena, but he laid it on thick when he was doing his comeback, when he was doing his quote unquote 5 moves of doom. He was fucking laying it on and looking at everybody, and he knew exactly what he was doing, and that's a sign of a great worker.
Yeah,
a really great worker is working a crowd to a
but
reaction.
What he also did is he did these 5 moves of doom, obviously, to get that reaction, but he also injected a few different moves into his arsenal as well. Stuff that we hadn't seen. And the crowd, in true ECW crowd fashion, you still suck.
You still can't wrestle. Yeah, you still suck.
You still
can't wrestle. It's fucking brilliant.
So good.
So good.
But yeah, ECW One Night Stand is a very, very important pay-per-view for so many reasons, because not only did it show that John Cena could work that crowd, like you say, in a very toxic atmosphere, but he also put over Van Damme.
Yes.
It had to happen. It had to happen at ECW One Night Stand. Could you imagine if Cena went over?
Fucking hell.
There would have been
riots. There would have been riots. Yeah. That sign wasn't like, it wasn't joking, was it? Like, it was
it's not a prediction.
Genuinely though, that was a huge deal. And that match is is really good. We need to watch an EC. We need to do an ECW One Night Stand watch along. I think we need to pick.
We need to do this one.
Do this one. Fuck it. Yeah,
fuck
we'll
it.
do
We're
this
doing
one.
that one.
It's brilliant because it's Randy Orton and it's Rey Mysterio and Sabu on there as well. It's where Randy Orton gets punched by the kid and just fucking like looks at him in the crowd, isn't it? Is it that one? I'm sure it's this one. But there's some good shit on there.
Good shit.
And it was Edge who came in with the helmet on, the hood up. You mean the big leather jacket? Speared Cena and Rob Van Dam won, wasn't it? So
speared him through the table, wasn't it?
So it's off to the races with Edge as well. Then Rob Van Dam went and done his thing, fucked it all up, and yeah.
Fuck's sake, Rob. Fuck's sake.
Fucking hell, Rob.
Next up, Hoxie.
Where do you want to go, mate?
I think we've got to speak about Edge because Edge is potentially. There's two people that are synonymous with John Cena's career in terms of feuds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? One is Randy Orton, which we'll probably talk about later.
Yep.
And the other is Edge.
Yes.
You know, again, we talk about that. Obviously, you said it there. It sort of ignited Edge a little bit in this particular one. I don't know if we go into individual matches, we might touch upon them, but I think we just talk about the Edge and John Cena feud and the different moments within there. I don't know.
Yeah, mate. Like I said, it's what you've just said there. I totally agree with. I think people forget, and a lot of people, because the Randy Orton thing is so rife. If you know what I mean, like it is. They're literally the Joker and Batman, aren't they?
Yeah.
Basically, of the last 15 years or whatever period of time it was, 2006 onwards. But the Edge thing, the Edge, I've had this conversation with you before when we looked at the heels, and I said Edge's heel run in that period of time it's really, really slept on. And what WWE is a babyface territory.
Yep.
So you need, if you have a babyface territory, you need a line of heels who you will be able to feed to that babyface. The babyface is in massive amounts of jeopardy. They fight against all the odds to beat that evil person. It's in every Hollywood film going. It's in like tale as old as time. It like boxing promoters have took it from wrestling, fucking everything. It's that story. And WWF historically has been a babyface territory. So you need a good dance partner. It doesn't work. You don't get to be a mega babyface if you don't have that. You can still get over, but you have to have that chain of people coming through. And I would say, you look at all of the stuff that Cena's done in his career so far. This is the first proper feud that he's ever had with Edge, with the stuff with Edge. Because he's wrestled people and he's had like bits and bobs, and I know he had a bit with JBL, but it was quick. It was a couple of months. He had stuff with Carlito. It was a couple of months. He had stuff with Angle on and off for ages. He had stuff with Big Show, a couple of months. He had Jericho, a couple of months. It wasn't someone who was like they were tied together, and they had this like a big what's the word, like a big a program with. If you know what I mean, it was like it was feuds, but this is properly meat and fucking bone, everything getting involved with it. And I think the Edge stuff. This might inflame you, John, but I would take the Edge and Cena stuff over Randy and Cena stuff. I think they had more chemistry, and I think the matches were better. And I've started to warm to Randy Orton lately, so it's not coming from a I hate Randy Orton place. I would take the Cena and Edge stuff over the Randy and Cena stuff.
Okay.
Personally.
That's all about opinion. Yeah, I mean, in your opinion, it's absolutely valid. I understand where you're coming from, and Cena was like the super baby face, right? He's over his shit. Edge and Randy Orton are the heels that Cena needed. Now, in my opinion, Edge is a good heel, not a great heel, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
we've spoke about this before.
I think Randy Orton is a much better heel than him, and that's why their feud always edges. Excuse the pun. Over Edge. It's just for me. I don't know if I agree with they've got better matches. I think I don't know. We know Edge is a phenomenal talent in the ring. It's like it's unbelievable what he can
Doing his
do.
best work of his life right now as well.
Apparently so, yeah. That's something we're going to talk about next week.
TK has clearly been to Rotterdam lately.
He's on fucking spice, man. Honestly. Fucking reprobate.
He probably is. He probably is. Yeah. He's on Summit.
He has to be, man. It's like, holy fuck balls. We'll talk about that next week.
Taking bumps in and out the ring. So, yeah. Mate, should we touch on the Kevin Federline thing or not? Because I think that's mental. It's like a place in time. Kevin Federline got famous through all the TMZ bullshit, didn't he? Because of he was banging Britney Spears.
Married Britney, yeah.
Were they married?
Yeah.
Married.
Was that not the really shortest marriage or something? Like,
I was going to say, didn't they they were married for like 20 days or something fucking stupid like that. Yeah, crazy. But they basically got involved. They had an entanglement. Kevin Federline and John Cena. They actually had a match on a fucking Raw episode. It was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve or whatever, 2006 or 2007 or whatever it was, 2008 maybe, fucking whenever. But they had a fucking match together, which I just think is mental. But I think that shows the faith that they have in John, because it's like you're going to be transcended into the real world, popular culture, and that'll be on news channels and TMZ and fucking magazines and papers and all that sort of shit. And they gave a guy who would never be able to take a bump, who's never took a bump in his life, and they put him in a match of Cena, and it didn't get -5 stars like Hogan and Warrior. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just think it's fascinating. I just think that's a mad little snippet of John Cena's career. Do you not think that's crazy? It's just so. We're talking about Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Eddie Guerrero, Lesnar, Randy Orton, Edge, fucking whoever, Kevin Federline. Do you not think it's just mental?
That is the cheeky moment of John Cena's career.
If you fucking spit on Kevin Federline. So, I just think it's mad. I genuinely just think it's crazy. Yeah, mad. So I just wanted to
to touch upon Kevin Federline. Interesting turn of phrase. Let's move on. Okay. Fucking hell. I think obviously, guys, we're not going to go through each individual fucking reign. It's just that's not going to happen. I want to go to bed at some point this evening.
Yeah.
I think probably the next major significant thing, correct me if I'm wrong, would be his pec injury, and ultimately what came from that.
From that pec injury.
Do you know how he got the pec injury?
It was in a match with Mr. Kennedy. How bad would you feel if you were Mr. Kennedy? If you would, and I know he had his career and his life in WWE could be a documentary. It's a crazy story. Yeah, big time. If you're not sure, we won't talk about it now, but if you're not sure, just go and have a little bit of a look at some stuff about Kennedy's time in the WWE, because you can't fucking write it. If he had any luck, it was all bad. All of the luck, and it was bad luck.
Poor fucker.
Anyway, but he was legit torn pec, wasn't it?
It was. He actually did it. Do you know how he did it?
I bet it's something stupid, like
he performed a hip toss on Mr. Kennedy.
Something stupid. There we go. And that's the stuff. That's when it happens. That it's not on the triple Indy Vernon Schnavitz fucking 650s. It's the little shit. It's the jumping off the ropes. It's the throwing your arms in the air. It's the hip tosses.
So
that's
he completely tore the pec off the bone, but he still finished the match. Which,
if it was hip toss, it would have been early on in the match as well.
Yep,
guaranteed. Yeah,
it's like that must hurt like a fucker. And so he finished the match. They did the angle with Randy Orton running in and kicking fuck out of him, and that's how it wrote him out of storylines. And they said it would take maximum a year, 6 months to a year to recover from a pec.
Yeah,
obviously he was stripped from the title at that point. I think at that point when he was stripped of it, that was the longest WWE reign in about 20 years or something like that within WWE.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
I'm sure
amazing.
It's
That's amazing.
So Vince had to do that. Obviously, he had surgery, and within 2 weeks, he was already several weeks ahead where he was supposed to be. His rehab was going so well.
He came back in like a quarter of the time or something, didn't he?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was really famous doctor down in Birmingham, Alabama.
James Andrews.
James Andrews, there you go. Really, he stone cold. But I tell you what, anyone who's ever had an injury in the WWE and the WWF would have gone through James Andrews is gone under his knife, basically. It's almost a show by himself, all the people he fucking put back together. But yeah, it's crazy, man.
Top 10 people.
James Andrews' career's saved. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, it was mad. And yeah, the comeback, mate.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we had to mention the injury, because, again, when you think of comebacks from, like, just comebacks in general, we're not just talking about Kim Kardashian, we're talking about John Cena making his return at Royal... You're right, Hawks.
Got me so off guard. That got me so off guard. I'm so sorry. I'm fucking delirious tonight. I'm so tired today, by the way, guys. It's been a long week. That proper, mate. That was... Oosh. Go on.
There we go. What was I saying? Yeah, so he made his triumphant return in 2008 at the Royal Rumble. He appeared number 30 in the Rumble.
January 27th, Madison Square Garden,
MSG.
2008, number 30.
No one expected it.
The look.
Yep.
Arms crossed. Head
unreal.
up.
Who did he eliminate from the Royal Rumble at the end?
Kane? Batista?
The Game. Triple H.
Wow! Good shit. That's good shit. Love that.
So, there was an interesting thing that came out from that Royal Rumble, though, because this was one of the only times that he didn't want to wait until WrestleMania to cash in his Royal Rumble victory. He actually cashed in against Randy Orton at No Way Out in February.
Why don't I know that?
Yeah, so Randy Orton...
Why don't I know that information?
Randy Orton won it by DQ. So he didn't win the title, obviously. But the next night in Raw, he was then put into the WWE title match.
At WrestleMania? Which was Triple Threat?
Yes.
Triple H, John Cena, and... Randy, yeah.
There you go. Bit of information there. There you go.
Dude, I didn't know that. See, this is why I love doing these shows, right? This is why I love doing this stuff. Because I think my wrestling knowledge is quite good, but I love little stuff like that. Little snippets of knowledge. I love it. I've definitely forgot another anniversary or a birthday or something. I'll keep that forever. Yeah. That's some good shit. I think Cena was just... Cena was a big deal. Cena was a guy. Mm-hmm. I think the return from this injury and then this bit of time, this was mega stardom.
Yeah.
Cena. This is where it properly kicked off for me, I think.
This is where you're putting him in the same bracket as a Hulk Hogan of a generation or a Stone Cold Steve Austin of a generation.
Million percent.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. He was, like I say, big deal, but he's a huge deal now. And that reaction, mate, at MSG as well. Because there's not many people at MSG. There's maybe 20,000 people there, whatever. It's quite a small... Yeah. But that was a huge reaction. Huge. Love it. Love stuff like that. Yeah, great shit.
I don't know where you want to go next. I've got an idea in my head, but where's on your list? Are we missing anything?
I was just wanted to touch a little bit on the tag title stuff that he did.
Okay.
Because he was tag title twice at the same time as being a WWE champion. Yep. Do you know who the first title he won with?
Ooh.
You have a think? I'm going to grab a beer. BRB. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. This is one for the listeners as well. People will be screaming into their phones or their radios right now, going,
and I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to Google it.
I'm going to grab a beer and I'm going to leave you to it.
That's going to fucking annoy me. Think who it is? Who the fuck was it? Who was it? I've got no idea. if you know who it is, okay, without Hoxie revealing it, let us know, wrestlemark10@gmail.com, mark_out of 10 on Twitter, sub to us on YouTube and all that jazz, mark out of 10, comment on them, etc. Yes, let us know.
Have you got it yet?
No.
I hope I'm right, because I'm 99.9% sure I'm right, but if I get this wrong, it's going to be monumentally bad, isn't it? Shawn Michaels.
Was Shawn Michaels, you fucker.
And he won it the second time round with somebody who we would basically become quite synonymous with working with as well, was Batista.
Batista, yeah, I knew the second one.
Cody and Ted DiBiase.
The legacy.
The legacy, yeah. Fucking hell. Can you remember that when that was a thing? Remember Ted DiBiase when he wasn't a crook? Remember that? It's amazing.
Money, money, money.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. But yeah,
I'm tired as well. It's like no fucks are given.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, fucking whatever.
Cancelled.
Yeah, fuck it. Mate, if we ain't cancelled already, then we're gonna be all right.
That's true.
But yeah, I think I always love it. I used to love it when it happened with Stone Cold and it might have been Stone Cold and Triple H, like back in the day, where they were like feuding,
yeah,
and then they would get put together, and then they would win the title, and then like the tag titles and stuff, but they would they wouldn't like each other. I used to love that. I don't know if that's like I don't know if it's a popular thing, but I don't give a shit. I used to love it. I used to really enjoy that. What say you? For you, yes or no? Or just a bit of
I think it was more of
the old damp squib.
This was the time in WWE where tag team wrestling was the sort of, it was nothing, right? It was placeholder titles until they got the big belt, which is sad. And I mean, again, it's synonymous with the names you're talking about. You know, it's Batista and Shawn Michaels. You know, it's like two of the biggest names ever in WWE. So it's like that in itself tells you that those titles didn't actually matter. They just had to put them on someone. You know, there was no real tag teams at that time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's like we need to elevate these guys or these titles. Let's put big names in there just to make it a bit of a featured match kind of thing. Okay, yeah, I can see.
I mean, it's very similar recently with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens beating the Usos.
Owens, yeah.
You know, there's no real... I mean, the story was there, but there was no real... You knew they weren't going to go on a fucking monumental run with the tag team titles. You knew they were going to drop them eventually, right?
Yeah.
What I want with a title holder is someone that I can believe that no one's going to beat them. You know, it's like they've got to do something spectacular or fucking heelish as shit in order to keep their title. Whereas I don't believe that with certain tag teams that have came through history. Like with... And it's unusual because obviously Cena and Batista and Cena and Shawn Michaels, three of the greatest names ever. But could you put them on the similar vein as Stone Cold and Triple H being tag team champions? No, because you could actually believe that at that time. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yes.
Sorry, my throat's going as well.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. I hear you. I'm hearing you, John. I hear
you. Okay.
You. Word life. Okay, yeah.
That's definitely
it's just your basic thuganomics, mate. That's all it is.
Okay, that's the end of the episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Remember, like, share.
Oh, dear. Good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Okay. For me, I can think of like maybe three other things I want to touch upon. There may be other things for you. The first one is potentially one of the best stables that got fucking ruined by a creative decision.
This is Nexus.
Yeah. The Nexus were a breath of fresh air in WWE because it was so different to the bullshit we were getting.
Yeah, it was flat as arseholes at that time, wasn't it? That 2000 and sort of 9, 10?
10, 11, 9, 10, 11 time.
It was something that we hadn't seen for a while, for a start. You've obviously, you had your stables or your little bunch of characters. There was probably four of them or whatever. You know what I mean? You had your tag team, your middle belt and your big boy belt kind of guys, didn't you? Nexus came in from like the TV show, basically what turned into NXT. Really.
Yeah.
You had Atunga, Wade Barrett, Skip Sheffield, Sheffield. Yeah, Skip Sheffield was
Ryback.
Ryback, that's the one.
Justin Gabriel,
Bryan Danielson
as well, and it's the black guy with the mask.
Yes, fuck. who went on to do absolutely fuck all.
Nexus.
I'm doing it. I'm on it. Nexus members, where are you? Oh, well, that's a bit shit. Why does it not just give the fucking members a there? Oh, well, Darren Young, Michael Tarver.
Tarver,
That's
that's it. Yeah.
Michael Tarver. Fucking hell. I wonder what he's doing now. Do you reckon he's still going? He was a Christian rapper.
Wow.
He retired in 2001. There we go. Michael
So
Tarver.
obviously, for those that don't know, the Nexus were formed and they basically rode roughshod over the WWE at that time, Hoxie. They came in, they destroyed the rings, they destroyed the announcer. Wait a minute, whoa, let's clarify. Let's clarify. They destroyed the wrestling ring. I was going to let that one
slip as well. I was going to let that one slide. Yeah.
No, I'm very self-aware. They destroyed everything within the arena, okay? And like one of the famous scenes is obviously Daniel Bryan or choking out Justin Roberts with his tie. He got fired for it.
Fucking sacked for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting move. I can remember at the time thinking, like, why have they fucking done that?
It did look horrendous, though.
It looked bad, but it weren't like... It was no different to like an STF or something.
I think what it was, though, was there not in America at the time, there was a spate of like teenage hangings. I'm sure that was one of the reasons.
Diabolical, yeah.
It's okay.
We don't want hangings.
Yeah. And obviously time went on. There were loads of fucking different things about it. It's like one of the famous scenes is like Sheamus running away from Nexus and stuff like that. Just loads of stuff like that. But it got to the final... We'll say the final part of Nexus. Obviously, Nexus remodeled, and it was like there was a creative decision that ruined Nexus. The Nexus storyline could have went on for much longer, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of meat left on the bone.
Yeah,
it was really, like you say, it was really fresh, and it was very different at the time. From like I think this is the worst time in modern WWE history. Was this period of time, because it was just there was nothing going on at all. It was very cookie cutter, very vanilla. This was like the worst of everything. This was the time when they were doing the fucking like a different GM every week on Raw, wasn't there? Like a different celebrity come in, and then they had that period of time with like the bling bling. I have a message, or what
from
it's
the
like
anonymous general
manager. It was so shit. And then these lads come along, and it was like, oh, fucking hell. All right then, okay, this is a little bit different. There's heat there, genuine heat.
There was,
it was. We want to come and take over, and they had a match, didn't they? And Cena got fired from the WWE.
Yep.
And once again, we talk about hokey shit. We talk about getting stabbed in nightclubs and stuff. Cena was trying to take out each member of the Nexus whilst not being signed. He didn't have a job at the time. I wasn't signed by the WWE, and he was like running into the arena and sitting in the crowd and beating people up in the fucking parking lot and all that. It was fucking dreadful.
Awful.
And that was the period, like, so that's the thing with WWE at that time. It was like, we've got something here, let's shit on it. And it was very, very fast, wasn't it? It was very quick.
Yeah.
Matter of months, 3-4 months.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it just shat on the Nexus and the momentum they built up, and it was a shame. It was, and this is where the sort of the phrase "the golden shovel" came from, right? As a case of he buried the Nexus. Now, obviously, it's not his decision. It's it came from.
No one's going to do anything without the big man, without
the grand shiter himself, Vince McMahon. Have I got you? Have I got a pop check again, Hoxie? So yeah, it's a shame. And again, everybody goes back to that as John Cena buddies everybody, and it's just a bit shit. But I think what we need to go on to is probably one of the biggest feuds of all time for him, right? In terms of just the sheer star power of that feud. John Cena, star in his own right, against the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, The Rock.
For one time ever, only twice. That one. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we touched on it a little bit earlier on, didn't we? Where it was... So this all came from... It was the WrestleMania event with The Miz, wasn't it? The WrestleMania main event with The Miz.
The Rock was special guest, and host, wasn't he?
Yes. And he cost him the match, didn't he? I think it cost him that, or something happened, wasn't it?
It was like a DQ, and then The Rock came out and restarted the match or something like that.
Left the Miz laying after his celebration, and left Cena laying as well afterwards as well. So obviously The Rock getting his shit in straight away. We've seen that recently, haven't we?
No, I don't know what
No,
you're talking about.
I don't no idea what you're on about. But yeah, it was 12 months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Basically. And I mean, fair play. Like, we talk about long time storytelling, and we want stuff to last long and not be flash in the pan and stuff. They went with this, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And there was some good stuff, to be fair, that came out of this. Like you mentioned earlier on, like the promos that they had. Was it this one when The Rock was doing his guitar stuff? Was it the first one, or was it the second one?
I
can never remember.
One.
This period of time in wrestling for me was a big blur and a big blob, because I wasn't really enjoying much of what was going on.
No, absolutely.
I was watching, I'll be honest with you, this was probably when TNA was on like Challenge or whatever it fucking was at the time. So I was probably watching a lot more TNA than I would watch WWE all the time, but I wasn't really, I was probably just like hate watching it. Like, I feel like I need to watch it. I probably wasn't taking it all in, but there was some good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And huge main event for WrestleMania.
Insane.
Crazy. Was it WrestleMania 28? 29?
28? Yeah, it was 28.
I got mixed. I know 17, 18, 19 off the back of my fucking head, and I can work it out from there, but when it gets to these numbers, I'm a bit crazy. What are we on now? XL was 40?
Yeah.
50?
It's about that,
40.
Yeah. Well, the first one was 1985. 84, was it?
Yeah, so this is 40. XL, isn't it? Yeah, XL 40. But yeah, man, I think that sort of blob of time and that period of time, I know they had like the stuff with Del Rio and all that sort of shit. I fucking hated Del Rio. And it wasn't heat. It was like Jeff Jarrett 95 heat for me. Alberto Del Rio. Get away. Don't want you on my telly. Go.
His own personal announcer was better than fucking him, to be honest.
Ricardo Rodriguez.
Whose
real name was Alberto Del Rio. Oh,
no, sorry. Really?
Sorry, Alberto Del Rio's real name was Ricardo Rodriguez. Or the other way around.
Some shit like that. So yeah.
I'm going to have to find this out now. It's my ADHD plays up. Alberto Rodriguez, sorry. There we go. Mixture of the both. Sorry. Yep.
So yeah, the Rock feud, that's the one I mentioned earlier. It was like there was so many references to it from doing the heel turn. You know, it's like he come back with the Dr. Thuganomics for like one off, because again it was the songs, and you know, Cena did the rap, and you know, if they were ever going to pull the trigger on a heel turn, it'd probably be around then. It would have done it, because The Rock was there. But The Rock is actually such a very good heel. You know, that's what made his name, right? That's what got him over.
I think he does it without trying as well. I think early on, like when he wanted to do it, it worked, and then he would do his funny stuff, and it was like funny, yeah, he's a face kind of thing. But I think when you peel away the Rock character and you get Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you get a natural heel. The guy's a bit of a dick.
Yep.
He's a bit of a dick, isn't he? I feel as though he is a bit of a dick. Cover myself there really quickly. I just feel as though he's a bit of a dick IRL, so I think it comes across quite easily if he just peels away a little bit of a layer of the onion. I think it's not very far underneath him, his true colours, but there we go. Are we going to talk about 2011?
I thought so.
Yeah. Well, this was almost kind of between these kind of things, wasn't it?
Yep.
One of my favourite matches of all time. One of the greatest matches ever. One of the greatest angles ever. One of the greatest finishes ever. And part of one of the greatest storylines ever. And I was thinking a little bit about this today while I was driving around in my van at work. I've got nothing else to do. Big question, would CM Punk be the level CM Punk is at without this thing with John Cena?
I think,
because he was doing stuff before. He was champion before this on SmackDown. He had the feuds with like Hardy and all that sort of shit, wasn't it? Before this, and he'd done the Straight Edge Society and stuff. So he was there. He was a guy. He was a featured talent. But do you think he would be the CM Punk we have now, the super megastar, the voice of the voiceless, the alternative king of the world? Like, would we have that if it wasn't for the pipe bomb into this feud with Cena?
He needed CM Punk would have needed this angle. Did it necessarily need to be did it need to be Cena? Yeah, probably, because there's no one else at that level at that time.
No.
So yeah, I think it's hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? I mean, I think I think CM Punk probably did need it, if just because it was that particular time, right? That's all he had to work with. Can you think of anybody else that had that level of babyface fame? Like, because it needed a babyface, right, in order to do that.
He was Mr. WWE. He's Mr.
Yeah.
Babyface. He's the super face.
Yeah, exactly. There's
He's
no
the
one
guy
else
that the company put on his back, right? Nobody else.
The angle would have worked regardless for him. CM Punk would have got that angle over against anybody. But I think the fact that
it wouldn't be spoken about as much, though.
No, I think
the pipe bomb promo would have, because it was against McMahon and he was telling some truth.
Yeah, but also when you think of that feud, right, and you think of the ending of it, you don't think of the John Cena bit. What do you think about? You think about CM Punk blowing the kiss at Vince McMahon. That would have still happened regardless who he was up against. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't think. I don't know. I understand where you're coming from. I think
he was in the mix, and the boxing with God thing, and all that sort of stuff. Like that was all in that mix. I said it earlier on. Your face needs a heel, but your heel needs a face.
Yeah.
That was the lightning from that period of time. That was the lightning in the bottle. That was the best thing they'd done for a long time. And that thing, and that Money in the Bank match was just fucking chef's kiss. If you're a new listener to the show, and you've never seen this before, maybe you're a new fan to wrestling. Like we might be listening. We might be speaking to guys now who were 20 years old who didn't watch wrestling when on 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't watch wrestling then because this was 13 years ago. You think it's been 84 years. I feel instantly older when I say that. But like, we might be speaking to people now who don't know what this is. Go Money in the Bank 2011 main event. Go and watch it. End of. You'll thank me later. But I don't think I genuinely this was the CM Punk that we have now, and this is what made megastar CM Punk. This is the needle mover Punk from here. Beforehand, he was a heel. He was a guy. Everybody knew how sort of good. The smart fans knew how good he was. But I think after this moment, he went up into the top made man echelon of wrestlers, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely fair point. Yeah, absolutely.
What a fucking match, though, mate. Eh?
Yeah, I still think my booking at post that match is much better. But just saying,
I agree as well. Yes, get him signed, guys.
Sign me up, Paul Levesque. I know you listen.
Then we had Rock and Cena number 2, and then we had the Raw after, which I can remember like it was yesterday. I can remember who I was with and where I was. It's very weird. It wasn't monumental like thing, but I didn't see much of Lesnar because it was that period of time where I didn't. That was my little hiatus from wrestling. So I caught up with the Lesnar stuff later. But when that fucking guitar hit and that crowd went mental, and the lads that I was watching it with who watched wrestling at that time, when they reacted, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? When he came out on that Raw and fucking F5 Cena.
Was that another one where he headbutted him as well? Was it not like a, was it not a hit? Was it a headbutt, or was there something? There was some blood on it.
That was
later on. Was that the fight?
That was Samoa Joe and Angle.
No. There was another one as well. There was.
Didn't he elbow him?
There was one of them was definitely bleeding. Keep talking.
It's probably Lesnar's. We've seen his ass and all the shit that come out of it. Thinking, fuck, I've got to wrestle this shit. Guy. I just think it's amazing how a guy like that come out and he was like instant megastar, and it was a brand new opportunity for Cena to go with somebody else. Yeah. That was the whole Suplex City thing, wasn't it? Basically, so like 12, 15 German suplexes in that first match that they had when he just absolutely beat the shit out of him.
Is that the same feud? I honestly can't remember. Is that the same feud where Edge comes back and tells him he needs the John Cena that threw him into the sound and wake up? Was it that promo?
I think so. That was towards the end of the feud, wasn't it? When he beat him. Yeah.
Good shit, Hoxie.
Very good shit. But yeah, just multiple time champion after that.
Mm-hmm.
This was the period of time where there wasn't anything like amazing, was there? Really, you had the stuff with Ryback. You had the Mark Henry turn. That was a fucking cool thing. That was a bit later on. Alberto Del Rio, and then you get to like every single pay-per-view that there was ever been forever and a day against Randy Orton. Main evented like 12 months in a row or something crazy,
stupid like that. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
But that's the feud, isn't it? That's the when the business was down, because the business was down here.
Yes.
This was a good period, but after this, there wasn't much going on at all. The business was down pretty much, and it was Cena was just
he was
dragging
cash
it
cow.
along.
He was a cash cow. It's
different t-shirts, like kissing all the babies, shaking all the babies, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
he was the Hulk Hogan of the generation.
Yeah, just
great said that
shit.
before. Yeah.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Really good shit.
I mean, we've touched upon, like, we've missed so much of the stuff. I mean, I wasn't going to mention, like, the AJ Styles feud. I don't know if you were. But, you know, a great feud. Like, again, it propelled AJ. The one I wanted to touch upon is the debut of Kevin Owens. You know?
Yep.
The fact that
the United States Championship.
Yep. He put over Kevin Owens. It's like
first night on Raw, right?
It was unbelievable, you know.
Yep.
And
that's the thing. He knows. So you got to think about the business as well. You got to think about Cena as a businessman, right? You can't make any money, and you can't draw any houses, and you can't put any bums in seats. You can't have any people viewing the television screen if there's nothing to invest in. And he knows that he needs to make stars.
Yeah.
So, like, what better way to do it? Like, he done it with AJ. He walked back through the curtain after he had that match with AJ and said, like, he's one of the best to ever do it. And I put him over to Vince McMahon and said, like, yes. You know what I mean? Like, he's amazing. And with Kevin Owens, he's not going to. I said earlier on, the guys like Kurt Angle, the same thing they did with him when he first started. That you need to make stars in order to make money, and that's what he did with Kevin Owens as well. Kevin Owens is, regardless of what anybody says about Kevin Owens right now, and he's got a bit of a darb on him, and he's a bit rough around the edges. He doesn't look like a wrestler, and all this bullshit. He is one of their fucking superstar tippy top guys.
Yeah. He's so good,
and it's another one of those things. Like when he's gone, we won't realize how good he is until he does go. I guess I've said it many times before, mate. He doesn't have that match with Stone Cold Steve Austin if they don't believe in him.
Exactly, yeah.
It's very, very simple. And if Stone Cold doesn't believe in him either, doesn't trust him, so that says a fucking lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But they, like you say, mate, there was bits and bobs. Like, we could do a whole another 2 hours on the last 10 years of Cena, if you know what I mean. So we're not going to go for every match he ever had and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, dude, it was the United States belt stuff, wasn't it? And then the AJ Styles it was over the title. Was it over the title?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Just really, really good shit. Really good shit.
And you talk about making stars as well, and I think one of the best things in wrestling just now is Roman Reigns, you know, and you know, he was one of the starting points for the Roman Reigns head of the table type thing, you know, the feud there. It's like it legitimized Roman Reigns, you know. He came back as a part-time wrestler. You can't do your job, blah blah blah. And you know, and that's why it was such a highly impactful thing at WrestleMania with the Cody Rhodes angle, where he came in and, like, you know, he did his FU, and The Rock came in, and it was just really, really good things like that going on. And I think that's the full circle point I wanted to touch upon. You know, it's a case of he got the rub from the superstars of, like, yesteryear, the Takers, the Kurt Angles, when he first came into the business, and he is now doing the same thing for those that are going to be the mainstay of the business for a long time, like the Roman Reigns, the Cody Rhodes example. And that is what you want from your head honcho, you know, the go-to guy. Hulk Hogan didn't really do it, you know. Stone Cold, he didn't do it.
He
Not
didn't get
really.
a chance to, I don't think.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, this is why John Cena should be in that GOAT category without any question, without any qualm. It's not
That's
just
why
from what
he's the GOAT.
exactly. That's why he is the GOAT. Indeed, it's not just for what he's accomplished in the business. It's the legacy he's had and how he's prepared the business for after he leaves. That's why he's got to be in that
You've got
conversation.
to leave it in a better way than you found it.
Absolutely.
You got to pad it off, right? Dude, just really quickly as well. COVID, WrestleMania, the White Family Fun House thing. Fucking, what was it called? Fiend
Firefly
Funhouse match. He done some business with that as well.
Yeah,
I know you've had.
I don't
This was
like
good. It's cinematic kind of stuff. I'm not a massive fan, but I think they made a real best out of a bad situation with this, and I think it was good for what it was. It's not crazy, but I just think it was an interesting thing for Cena to do. He still wanted to do business to help this guy out because once again, he saw money and potential in Bray at that time, and wanted to, and he put him over really. Cena,
he did.
Cena was left laying in the ring, wasn't he? Basically, at the end of it. So, I just think that you look back at his like the stuff he's done. Like I said, we the last 10 years we haven't really scratched the surface, but there's a lot of stuff that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It is his sort of, he's on the way out. You know what I mean? Because he used to do like, he came back into like his free agency stuff, didn't he? When he was going SmackDown and Raw and just doing whatever he wanted to fucking do, basically. But good shit, really good shit.
Good shit.
Minus the Austin Theory match.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Moving on. I think I've touched upon everything I wanted to talk about in terms of his career, right? His main active career. Let's talk about the ending, right? He has announced his retirement tour. Basically, it looks like it's going to be Mania next year. He'll finish up in, which... Two questions. One, should he go out at Mania? And two, how is it going to go?
Yes, he should definitely finish up at WrestleMania because it's the biggest show and he deserves to be on the biggest show. And he needs to go out on his back, losing 1, 2, 3 in the middle to Braun Breaker.
Okay, there's a third question I'm going to add in there. Is he going to be the 17-time champion?
Big breath. Big intake of breath. He'd beat Flair, wouldn't he, if he'd done 17? I think either way it would be good and bad. There's arguments to both. I think we're past that bit now. I think the people wouldn't like it because of what's going on at the minute. Because who's he going to beat? Who's he going to beat? You know what I mean? They're doing some good business right now, and they're making people. They're having featured talent in featured spots who are going to be around for at least a few years, or will be able to put somebody else over on the flip side of what's going on. Him winning a Royal Rumble to get a title match to lose at Mania, I don't know. Like, this is my fucking Rocky Balboa moment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's lots and lots of ways to go, but I think on the way out, he spends the first part of next year or whatever doing what he wants to do, having matches with who he wants to have matches with, and having a bit of fun. And I think he knuckles down, and I think he really, really puts over Braun Breaker as a megastar. He has to. Who else?
No, really? I agree with you. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely.
Does Gunther need it?
Nah.
No.
That's the equivalent of Brock Lesnar being Taker.
Is there anybody else in NXT you could think? Is there anybody else who'd be able to have a really good, believable match with a Jacob Fatu? Maybe it could be like Umaga and Cena. Like, Jacob Fatu would be good fun. That would be good fun. But I don't think he needs it either. I think he's already in the mix with top guys. I think they use this opportunity and they make Braun Breaker. And he isn't called Braun Breaker. They make him as Braun Steiner.
You think?
I hope.
It's not going to happen.
A guy can wish, right? A guy can hope. A guy can hope. But that's what say you? What would you do? What would you do?
So I
Almighty
agree with you.
Booker. Booker, man.
So
Come on,
he's
Booker,
not
man.
he's not going to break 17, and I'll tell you who is going to break 17, because we're talking about Triple H here, who's a massive Ric Flair mark. The only person that's going to break the 16 world title reigns is Charlotte Flair, so another Flair takes that record.
Okay.
But the way I would book Cena, it would be ultimately against Braun Breaker. He'll enter the Royal Rumble. He'll get down to the last 3. It'll be him, Braun Breaker, another.
Gunther.
Yeah, let's say Gunther. Braun will eliminate him, and that will set up the Mania match.
Yeah.
You ruin my opportunity. Something along those lines, and I agree with you. Braun Breaker will spear them out his fucking high tops. It'll be go out on his back, and like he'll put his trainers in the ring or something. You know,
Leave his pumps.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the Puma one?
Like the Air Jordan thing, Air Max, Nike Air Max. It'll be something like that, and
that'd be funny. And his big gold chain.
There'll be a spinner. There'll be a spinner. Something. It'll be It'll be something like that. But I agree with you. I think he'll meet Braun Breaker. I can't see anybody else that needs it.
I think him and LA Knight could do some business on the way out as well. First part of his little retirement tour. Just for the promos, I would love to see them. And you know what? I think Cena would be a fan of LA Knight as well. So I think he would.
Yeah.
I think he'd be very complimentary of an LA Knight.
Yeah,
I think they would do some good shit. It would be cool to see a Jacob Fatu thing with him as well, just because of the history with the family and all that sort of shit. That would be pretty cool. But it has to be Braun, right?
Yeah, I genuinely can't see it. Even anybody in Bo?
Nah. Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't want it to be.
No, I wouldn't want it to be.
Shit.
But you know that there's a connection there.
Yeah, with Bray and the thing. I don't know. Maybe JBL come for one more run and they'll just finish off and ride off in set.
One more match.
Dear.
It's been a good episode. I've enjoyed this one, Hoxie.
Deep dive. We haven't done anything like this before properly. We done a bit on Sting.
Yeah, we did.
Like in between a list, didn't we? We done a bit on him, just through. But we went. Like I said, mate, you could do like it could be a 2-parter. You could do early Cena and late Cena, and you would do just as much at the same time.
Yeah,
but it's just nice to go back and look at some stuff. Like I've spent the last week since we decided last week. I've sort of like listened to a few things, watched a few things, read up on a few things and stuff, and it's like you kind of forget.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff of exactly what's gone on. You're like, oh shit, I forgot about that. Oh, that was sick or whatever. It's really cool. But he has to go down 100 million%. He has to be on Mount Rushmore of wrestling.
without doubt.
Or in the conversation, or definitely on there. One of the greatest baby faces of all time. One of the most amazing performers of all time. One of the most amazing people in the business as well. The most requested Make-A-Wish person in history. Superstar in Hollywood. He's going to make anything that he does, he'll do. I think, as Jim Ross said, he'll turn nothing. The only thing he'll turn down is the covers on his bed. It's basically what he's dead. So, just superstar, man, megastar.
You cannot be on top of the largest wrestling company in the world for the amount of time that he has. Hogan didn't do it. Stone Cold didn't do it. But John Cena, we're talking decades on top. That's what we're talking about here. Yep. I agree with you. I think he is definitely in the Mount Rushmore. He has to be. If he's not in the discussion, I'm sorry, you don't understand the wrestling business. It's really, really strange. And it's funny you do say we could do a 2-parter. Remember, next week's episode, we are going to do the top 10 matches or moments in John Cena's career.
There's a lot to fucking go at. There's going to be a tough list.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be 1 or 2 that will be similar on the list, but again, I don't think majority of them will be the same. Yes.
Good shit,
Foxy,
mate.
good shit. Thank you to everybody that's listened so far. If you made it to the end, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for listening. As ever, make sure you email us wrestlemark10@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, mark_out of10. Follow us on all our social medias at mark_out of10. Make sure you hit the like button, 5-star it, comment on Spotify as well, and also share it with one person, because what does that help with, Hoxie?
The almighty algorithm.
From Human Shields, goodbye.
From Hawksy, love you.